you're doing a documentary on scars. You sick, demented people.
I'd like to play Tarzan. So one day I went in the meat house. I was going along the rafters, hand over hand, and my mother called, "They're coming, Mother," and I turned loose, and I hung myself on a meat hook.
Do you want me to talk about the mutilation?
Not too long after World War II, I homesteaded some land up in northwestern Wyoming, fairly close to Yellowstone Park. And I'd cleared all the sagebrush and built a house and a granary and a barn and raised crops and all that and cattle. And one day I'd harvested a bunch of wheat, and it had a bunch of alfalfa seed in it because the year before that field had been an alfalfa seed. And alfalfa seed was quite valuable, like $1 a pound. So I decided to run all of this wheat back through the combine, which is a machine that harvests grain and alfalfa seed and all that.
My dad's friend is like a fisherman. He goes fishing. We woke up like all early in the morning, real early, and it was still dark out. We had to get all ready, and it was all cold and stuff. And we got in the boat, and he lives right on the river, so we just rode the boat into the ocean. It was like a little Zodiac.
Okay, I'm waiting at the all-you-can-eat buffet for them to switch over from lunch to dinner because I didn't like what they were having for lunch. I turned around, and all of a sudden there was this car there, this nice shiny white Cadillac. And I remember because when I was looking in the window, combing my hair, I used to have long hair at the time, which was at least 10 years ago. And I was messing with my hair and thinking to myself, where in the hell did this car come from? So I was curious, and but I certainly wasn't trying to steal the car.
We lived above a little store back in 1965 when it happened. I was approximately anywhere from 8 to 10 months old. My mother had put me in the crib, and thinking that I was going to be safe. And as she ran down to the downstairs to go get something, to pick up something that she needed, during the time she had gone downstairs to the store, I got out of the crib, crawled out of the crib, and found myself in the bathroom.
When I was about 8 years old, it happened after a night of snow. I was with my brother and sister, and we were going to go out, play in the snow, make some snowballs, build a fort or something. It's a bright day, and the snow had gotten to about maybe a foot deep. And my brother and sister were maybe 10 to 15 feet away from me, and they were kind of building a wall out of snow. And I can remember a thought coming into my mind. It was pure evil that I would get what we call an ice ball. An ice ball is a snowball that has pieces of ice in it, which will be in the deeper layers of the snow. I was thinking to myself, I could beam my sister from the back because her back was turned toward me and she was talking to my brother, and hopefully he wouldn't tip her off.
I was born with what I thought was congenital dislocated hips, and when I was 14 months, I started having hip surgeries, and up until I was about 13, I had close to 30 at that point surgeries on various things like tractions and getting cut open, putting wires and screws and plates in, and then I would be in body casts for like 3 months a year up until I was 5, and then there was a break for like 3 years, and then more until I was about 13 or 14.
When I was 12 years old, I was working in a restaurant, a mafia-owned restaurant, and the way I'd gotten the job there was through my father. Exactly how that worked out, I don't know. I was hired as a dishwasher, and that night, it was a Friday night, it was real busy. I was asked to do some extra duties. One of them was to cut vegetables on a meat slicer.
Me and my homegirl Shay, we was walking down the street, so we seen this bitch Roberta that owed Shay some money. So me and Shay started talking to the bitch, and the bitch said something smart, and we started beating her motherfucking ass. We snatched the bitch shirt off of her and chased her all up down the street and shit. So finally, we let the bitch go on about her business.
So I worked in a steel fabrication shop in Denver, Colorado, and it was a big shop. There were two of us who worked there, myself and my coworker. His name was Bruce, and he was a bit of a prankster. And one of his pranks he liked to pull was when I would be welding and I would have my hood down, and I'm oblivious to everything except for that little arc right there, totally oblivious. We have acetylene tanks there, we have oxygen tanks there, we have argon tanks all sitting around me. He'd light a firecracker and put it underneath my seat. I'll be sitting there welding, all of a sudden there's this explosion, and I mean my welder goes flying, my hood comes flying up, I just about crap my pants until I realized it was Bruce playing one of his pranks. Well, I got a little bit tired of these pranks.
We get the combine running, and I had a few sacks that had been set aside that had a considerable amount of alfalfa seed in it. So I thought, first thing I'll do, I'll throw these sacks of alfalfa seed and wheat through the combine and separate that. Well, it happened that on this concrete floor in the granary, there was grains of wheat there, which are just like BBs on the floor. And as I started to forward towards the combine with this sack of grain, my feet slipped and I went right on towards the combine. Slipping on the thing, I couldn't stop myself. And the bottom of a combine, of course, is just like a mowing machine, and it has the sickle going back and forth to cut all the stalks of grain or stalks of alfalfa or whatever it is you're combining.
And we went out into the ocean, like far out there. On the way out there, it was like all windy, and both of their hats flew off into the ocean. We went like far out there. We were out there for like an hour or something, and they weren't catching any fish or anything. And he had the guy we were with, Jimmy, he had like all new bait stuff. Then he caught this fish, and it was like they were pulling it in and stuff. It's called an ono. It's like a barracuda or tuna or something, I guess, that has real sharp teeth. And they got it on the gaff, they gaffed it with the thing, and then it was like squirming around, and it jumped off. The gaff was outside of the boat, and it was all squirming around, and it like came off when it fell into the boat. And the boat was small, and there was 3 people, and it was like all like flopping around and stuff. And I guess its mouth just like swished by my leg, and its tooth just sliced it real fast. Like someone told me that their tooth could like cut like 8 inches of wood or something.
I was waiting, and I got tired of waiting at this buffet. So I was leaving. I was walking down the street. I get to the corner of the street. I push the button to cross the street. The light, the flashing hand thing was saying, okay, walk. I got about halfway across the street, and the light turned red. And so I take off running to get to the other side of the street. I turned around, and there's this car just skidding through the intersection. The whole thing, I'm like, whoa, that's a cop. And he jumps out with his gun out, and his dog jumps out. And I'm like, wow, I wonder what's going on.
Found myself in the bathroom and opened the bottom cabinets and found a can of Drano, and I poured it in the palm of my hand, and I went to go lick it. And as I went to go lick it, because the saliva had touched the crystals, it burnt my tongue and both of my lip. And somehow I regurgitated it back up. It had burnt my neck and 3 more times on my chest. By the time my mother had gone upstairs, she found me in this pool of blood, you know, kind of screaming, but choking on my screams. And she went downstairs right away, told the store owner. He called the ambulance. The ambulance came up, checked me out, and went ahead and proceeded to pull the blankets over my head and told my mother, I'm sorry, but I don't think she's going to make it.